Between the lanes, back at you. Coach Pierre on the scene. Episode 16. We have a few people here you can see. We have a guest co-host, former product of CPS, Walter Payton High School, All-American. Caitlin Hutchinson's on the scene with me today. What's up, Caitlin?
Guys, how are you?
Hello, hello. Episode 16 is Double Trouble. Yes. We have Phil Wallace, head coach of Whitney Young High School of Chicago, and Jason Cooper, head coach, South Shore International College Prep of Chicago. That's a lot of names, man.
The longest name ever.
Yeah, so let's get right to it. Before we start, I do want to get some quick reaction out of you two. First off, thank you for being available. Fresh off the USATF Association meet, can you all just give us a quick review of how things went for your Windy City Hammers?
The association meet it went well. I mean, it would be hard for it not to have gone well because there were 35 kids there. So this year there was a conflict with the USATF Association and the AAU regional, so it really split teams significantly. So in most cases, almost everybody qualified the association meet.
Yeah, aside from the 1-2-4.
1-2-4 and the long jump, that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Hey, short and sweet. This is gonna be a 30-minute show, guys. All right. I can catch the Bulls games later. Yes, obviously you all have some good coaching pedigree behind you. Both of you all have secured state trophies, from the Illinois state level. Phillip, you won a team title back in 2022. Both of you all have coached individual state champions, national champions, All-Americans to that nature. We'll probably get into that a little bit more in depth later in the show, but to get to where you all are now, your coach's career, you had to start somewhere. So we're going to take some time to kind of introduce those who don't know you all, or we're going to introduce you to them and everybody else. So let's get right to it. And again, you all can, I'm sure just from knowing you all, y'all have some similar thoughts on some things, but so don't be too repetitive. Come on now. But and you all can take this in any order you want. So can you kind of give us a background on number one, tell us where you're from for those who really don't know you, and then kind of lead that into your background with track and field and how you got involved with this sport specifically.
Well, I guess I can start.
Got to, because you're not from Illinois.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm from the land where triple jump does not exist. So when I first got here, I was like, "What is that event?" I had no idea what it was. I thought it was crazy. But I'm from born and raised Highland, Indiana. Went to Highland High School, then graduated from Purdue University in 2005. I got what got me to Chicago was I got a internship to shadow summer school teachers in CPS. So I spent the entire summer just living in the city. They gave us a dorm room and all that stuff, and I was shadowing a lot of the summer school teachers. My track background I ran track in high school, and then I also coached during my student teaching at Attica High School in Attica, Indiana. About 300 kids from grades 1 through 12. It was crazy. Super small school. But I liked it. So then I got to Chicago. Immediately, I got my first job at Crane High School. And the head boys coach decided, well, you can have it. See ya. So I started off as a head coach day one. Had no idea what I was doing. Spent 7 years at Crane. Then my school got phased out. And I lost my job, and that's when I ended up at South Shore and started the girls program at South Shore, at the current South Shore International College Prep, not the original South Shore High School. So that girls program started in 2012, 2013. That was the first year of the program, and I've been there ever since.
Hey, that's good enough. I'm glad you stopped it there because we got questions. And we'll go to Mr. Wallace. He's actually from Illinois.
I am. I'm a native Chicago and native Southsider. I'm a Whitney Young alum and went to college at Illinois State University. And my start to coach was actually kind of odd. I was enrolled in law school and decided I did not want to take out the student loans that I needed to, get through law school. So I was trying to figure out what to do with my life because law school was the only plan. And at the time, my brother was a junior at Kenwood. So I asked him to reach out to the cross country coach and asked him if he needed some help while I figured things out. And he called the cross country coach. The cross country coach said, "Hey, come out and help." I came for a day, hated it, said this is the worst thing ever. And I initially planned on coming back and quitting. That was a Friday. I came back on Monday to quit and say, "Hey, I'm not going to do this. Don't like it." But the coach decided to go on vacation without letting me know. So for a week, I was the coach filling in for him. And from there, it stuck. So I started off as the boys distance coach and assistant cross country coach at Kenwood and stayed there for 13 years. Then went on to Whitney Young in fall of 2019.
It is. Hey, this could be a 40-minute show for real, Caitlin.
I'm
We working
saying they
on.
don't want to talk about nothing.
Hey, we
Keep it
working
short
on
and
new
cute.
records here. They coach all these record holders. They're trying to set a new between the lane record. But we're not gonna let that happen.
We're efficient. That's all it is.
We're not gonna let that happen. I don't like efficiency. I don't like that. Sorry, I just don't.
And don't let them fool. Don't let them fool you. Wallace does talk a lot.
Yeah, we like obviously Cooper, you mentioned that you didn't know what you was doing when you got to Crane. That's on the west side, by the way. I've been to the old Crane off 290. Ooh, how you survive Crane? Let's stop playing.
You remember that indoor track too?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely host the meets there. Definitely host the meets there.
I remember that. And so coming up, through the ranks in the early parts of your coaching career, and maybe now, can you all maybe shout out or tell us about a few coaches or mentors who may have shaped you as you went along your path to where you are right now in the beginning stages of your coaching career?
I'll take this one first. Definitely. I had the fortune of coming up under some really good coaches who are really dedicated to track. When I started Kenwood, Patrick Simon was the boys and girls coach. Really, really good track guy. Really put me in a network with a lot of people. And through coaching with him in the summer, he introduced me to Craig Collins, and I got my start with summer track with the Chicago Striders, which is the club that Craig started back in the early 2000s. And I joined them. I was with the Striders for about 6 years, but he really kind of helped me network and introduced me to a ton of coaches. And then later on, around 2017, Derek Calhoun started reaching out to me. And it's really been Derek who's been the biggest mentor to me in my coaching journey. He lets me know when I'm getting it right, when I'm getting it wrong. But Derek has been a voice that's kind of helped me. He was instrumental in helping me even navigate. We can probably get to that later. Angelina Bullock's success, because he just always wants to be involved and help out when he sees major talent in the Chicagoland track community. I just think he's been a huge mentor.
Yeah, my start was a lot rougher than that. I started at Crane and I felt like I had no one. Like the head coach just literally said, "Here you go, it's yours." So I survived for those 5 years because I only did 5 years of Crane head coaching, and I was also doing football as well. I dabbled that in a bit, but yeah, I was literally on my own. Head coach took off, said, "Here is yours. You're on your own." So I survived on knowledge of what I remembered from when I was an athlete, which is a great recipe for success, if you think. But biggest problem I had there was kids were just in and out. I could never get a kid that would actually continue from year to year. We had just a lot of significant challenges over there. It was an urban neighborhood school. Kids were either getting suspended, kicked out, arrested, or they just were constantly in trouble, or they just quit. They quit on their own volition because they just had other things to do, other responsibilities. So those 5 years were challenging. I got a high jumper my last year there that would have been my first state qualifier at Crane. And he just decided not to even show up to the section. So at that point, I'm like, I just need a break. This is draining. I felt like I was putting in way more than I was getting out. So I took a break, and then that was 2 years. And then we got to 2012, and I found out they were trying to close my school. So that was a battle in itself. And then I did lose my job, and then I ended up at South Shore, and that's where Charles Larson, he was a biology teacher there. He was starting up the boys program, and that's when he pulled me aside and said, "Hey, you have some track experience. Why don't you help me out there?" So he was instrumental in those first years at South Shore. And then around 2017, I started getting some jumpers, and Larson was leaving to go to Rolling Meadows. So I knew I was on my own. So I'm like, I really need to really step it up and learn some more. And that's when I started stalking Phil here and decided that he's going to help me become a better coach, teach me more about jumps, because I always saw Kenwood had good jumpers at that time. And I think I bothered you for what, about 3 or 4 months until you finally met me at Jason's Deli to start really going through. I was persistent. And then not short after that, I met Billy Poole Harris, who, along with Phil, brought me on the Hammers in 2018. That was my first year in 2018. So those were kind of my earlier mentors. After that, I met Jeremy Fisher, who has coached quite a few Olympians through USATF education, which really has helped kind of vault my knowledge of the sport and kind of push me to learn more about the sport and also meet more coaches out there to help me. And then recently, of late, with Jordan, I've been reaching out to Chris Parno a lot, who's at Minnesota State, for help in just getting her ready and together and kind of different training philosophies with the hurdles and, and dealing with kind of an elite level hurdler. So those are just, and then of course in the trophy hunt, really relying on Derek Calhoun to really help guide on how to approach going for a trophy and how to handle scoring meets and utilizing your personnel so you can maximize those points as well.
Yeah, Derek Calhoun is a name that who's done some damage across his state in this day, and we're trying to get on the show. So if you guys know him, tell him I'm looking for him. We get the search party ready. What you got for me, Miss Hutchinson?
So I want you guys to kind of just discuss what the culture is like at both of the schools that you guys coach at. Because being a CPS kid, we know some schools you got to test into, some of them are harder to get into others. I guess like testing, enrollment, just overall culture. Because even some schools focus more on sports and some others are, heavily focused on academics, me being a prime example. I have a follow-up question for that, but let's just start with what's the culture at South Shore and at Whitney Young? And then I guess how do you guys kind of tackle that and implement it into the athletes you coach?
I guess I'll take that one.
They on tape delay. Remember, the rule is Indiana first.
You know what? Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Oh, who is Jason? Who is that? It's the first time I heard my first name in like months.
Yeah.
But so the culture at South Shore, I would consider us a mid-tier selective enrollment school. Our kids do need to test in. Over the past few years, we've kind of made it a little bit stricter. At first, it was really, really easy to get in. You could get in through medical or IB, and then also selective enrollment path. But recently, we switched to fully full-on selective enrollment. I would still say we are a developing school. We're not fully established. The school officially started in 2012. So we're 14 years later and still trying to find our footing. The kids we get in aren't necessarily the most athletic. We get a lot of artsy kids and kids that they're smart, but they just haven't done a lot of athletics in their life. So we get a lot of developmental athletes at our school. But that doesn't mean we haven't found talent. We've had Shanisa Stinson. She was state champion in the 100 hurdles in 2019. I actually saw her as a freshman playing soccer at our school. And I'm like, oh no, she's fast. She got to come over to track. And that's when our soccer team wasn't very good. So that's how she came over to track. Same with Jordan Marshall, Kaylin Pryor, Jemiah Jenkins, all those. They didn't really run track prior. They were all first-time track athletes. Jordan Ham was really the first one that kind of came in with some, track and field and athletic background, ready to rock and roll. Everybody else has been mostly developmental athletes that we kind of get in. Academic wise, we're IB focused. That's a little bit different from AP. I would say it's more of an international kind of like AP, whereas AP is more US based. Less standardized testing. It's more all those tests are written. There's no multiple choice. So definitely different environment. We're really laid back. Like biggest issue we have, kids are late to class. That's about it. Other than that, it's been really, really easy going considering kind of the time I spent at Crane and things like that. But overall, the kids are great. Like I said, they just really just stress me out on, hey, I'm going to miss practice because we're going on a trip. I'm like, oh, that's nice. So we do have a lot of issues like that.
Don't
Parents
worry. I
love,
got kids telling me that now too. They say
oh
we're
my
not going to
Lord.
practice because we want to go play Top Golf. You can't go to Top Golf after you go to practice.
See, I remember we had to take our vacations during actual school breaks. Now kids exclusively take their vacations during school. Their dentist appointments are exclusively during practice times. It's just like every single appointment is always exclusively during practice. So it's wild. It's like dentist, we only schedule appointments at 4 p.m. That's it. But no, it's like I said, it's great. We have a really supportive principal, Michelle Flatt. She's really, kind of helped our school grow and have some ideas to really push ourselves further. For the first time, we're finally over 600 students. We've always been hovering around 500. So we're looking at almost close to 670, 700. So that's the biggest the school has ever been since I've been there. So hopefully that kind of answers the culture. Outside of that, we do have very dedicated athletes too. So once they buy in, it's like I can't get them away from practice. They're always there working hard, and then they do have a strong desire to get better.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned there is a stark difference between South Shore High School and South Shore International. They're actually in the same area, but one is across the street, the old, and it's actually closed. So that's photo of us. Yeah.
That, believe it or not, we were open competing against each other at the same time at one moment in 2012, 2013. I believe it closed around 2014, maybe 2015 is when they phased out their last class.
Yeah. That was the picture of South Shore International, by the way, guys, that I showed y'all. They got a nice little turf field back there. I want to know about Whitney Young, and I'm sure other people do too. The people in the southern sector of the state's like, where's that at? What's that? What it look like? Well, you about to find out.
Yes. Well, Whitney Young is like South Shore is a selective enrollment high school, meaning you have to test into the school. It is a highly, highly competitive school. It's very hard to test into. It's in the West Loop of Chicago, close to the United Center where the Bulls play. Our most famous alum is Michelle Obama, and that's mentioned kind of ad nauseum, but it just kind of speaks to the pedigree of students that kind of matriculate at the school. Culturally, Whitney Young has an amazing infrastructure because administrations have always focused on the totality of the student, and they want to be good at everything. We want to be the best academically. We want to be the best in the arts. We want to be the best in athletics. So there are significant resources dedicated to being a strong school in all those facets. It yields really highly focused, highly motivated student athletes, but I think the gift and the curse that you get is they tend to be so gifted that they have a diverse, a wide array of interests that it's hard kind of getting them to focus on just one thing. So you're not just competing with track or other sports, we're competing with 113 clubs we have too. And every year I've had kids, I can't come, I need to go to the chocolate club or the animal rescue club. And they make these clubs up. It's just so many things going on in the school, but we've been fortunate to have really good leadership. Dr. Joyce Kenner was the principal when I was a student and when I started coaching at Whitney Young, and then she turned over the reins to Ricky Harris. And they are phenomenal administrators that really look after just the infrastructure and building things to make sure that we can have success across the board. We really get, I think, committed athletes. I think one of the challenges is when you get to a school that is as competitive as Whitney Young, you don't get student athletes who have failed at much. Like they're always used to being the best at everything they do. And when they get into the athletic arena, then it becomes difficult because for the first time in life, it's, this is difficult. And I can't just change it by reading the 300-page book tonight and then coming back tomorrow knowing all the material. So that's one thing that I think student athletes definitely have to work their way through. But overall, I think we have a culture that is just so supportive, and we have so much support available for student athletes in all areas that it's really a place that I think an athlete can come and thrive.
So with that, obviously, both of you guys coach the Hammers, and when I, ask the rest of this question, you can kind of keep me in mind as an example as I try to ask this. So when you're coaching a summer team, obviously you're getting kids from all different backgrounds. It's not just kids from South Shore or from Whitney. You're getting kids from, whoever want to run summer track. You guys have the opportunity to kind of take them under your wing. But with that being said, and with this idea of like culture, everybody's athletic history, especially during the school year, because y'all only get them for a chunk of the summer. They might be going through like different coaching situations, culture wise. Maybe they're really bought into being an athlete, but don't necessarily have the infrastructure at their school to continue to kind of like follow that passion and that path. But like I said, you guys really only get 2.5 months with these kids when they come in. So I just kind of want to know, like, what do you guys do to help that particular, like student athlete, the one who wants to do well and is very passionate about, continuing their path in track, but doesn't necessarily have the resources to do so or to do that in an accelerated process during the school year when you guys aren't coaching them?
So I would say that's the biggest challenge because we only have about 8 weeks to do it, 6 to 8 weeks typically, in the summer. And a lot of things is sometimes we gotta take a chunk of that and just reteach just kind of basic track and field skills. So I think one thing myself and Coach Wallace do really, really well in the summer is, focusing on fundamentals of the sport, focusing on doing things correctly, and just trying to teach and explain as much so they can learn and become students of the sport in the summer, so that can carry them through into the next school year. Because there are some definitely challenges where, coaches just don't have the knowledge. They haven't grown that into the sport yet. Hopefully they will, and continue to grow. Like there was even a point I was at that point early on in my coaching career where I just didn't know. I just didn't have knowledge. So just really trying to instill the athletes with as much knowledge as we can in those 8 weeks, and also supporting them with just confidence, like, hey, you can get better in the sport even despite some challenges and some situations. I know Wallace does keep in touch with kids throughout the year, so do I. Just kind of like mentor them even when we're outside of summer season.
Yeah, I think another thing is kind of to the point that you mentioned, where infrastructure not being the same everywhere and there are different challenges. I think being a coach in CPS, that is what we're dealt with. And
That was my next question. So yeah, let's talk about it.
So I think challenges really create space for creativity. We are always, it doesn't matter how much infrastructure we have, there's no CPS team with the indoor field house. There's no CPS team that has the resources that an Oak Park River Forest or Alliance Township has. So you are always, as a coach in our league, trying to find ways to meet students where they need to be met, given what you have. And I think that is carried over into the summer. Even when you look at just the kind of students that go to CPS, it's a diverse city. So subsequently, you have a diverse school district. And in all our schools, we have kids who learn different ways, who have different backgrounds. So you're always just trying to find a way to meet an athlete where they are. Some kids are auditory learners, some kids are visual learners. And the longer you coach, the more you get to learn how to relate to different kids. And the way we had to coach you, Caitlin, is not the way we coach somebody else. I mean, everyone has different needs. And I think we are probably uniquely prepared for that because of the challenges that we face just kind of being in the district that we're in when it comes to just facilities and just resources available.
I would say from personal experience, not to, make y'all heads too big, because, you can see Coach Cooper's, his is already blowing up right now. But I do agree with the sentiment that you guys have, or at least when y'all were coaching me, and for sure now, because it's been, a while, that y'all have a lot of experience to be able to coach a bunch of like different athletes. Like y'all know I was a terrible overthinker, scared of everything. My daddy was a little crazy, and, I went to Peyton. So it's like, my coach, he meant well, but he did not know the knowledge that you guys, like have and like had experience with, and y'all had to figure out how to deal with me. But then also, I'll take Shanisa as well, like thinking back to, our 4x4 situation, like the way that y'all had to like kind of coach me and get me to lock in, and knowing that that literally took until like the very last minute. It's like, okay, finally after 8 weeks, like Caitlin got it together. But then like thinking about Shanisa, like I was always so confused like hearing that she was scared because I'm like, she is, consistently running so much better than me in the 400 right now. Obviously, she was faster than me in general, but when y'all would be like, no, like she's literally like about to lose her mind by the time she gets on the line, it's just like seeing how you guys were able to kind of, coach her and get her to lock in to the point to where it's like other people, at times can't necessarily tell that she's, scared of whatever is about to come in front of her. So yeah, you guys have definitely done a great job at that. So yeah, like I was saying, part of the next question that I wanted to talk about is just like what are the realities of coaching in CPS? Because I mean, I feel like there's a million and one things that you can discuss. Just Chicago weather in general, I feel like is a hurdle in and of itself. Like I fully remember, Coach Wallace being like, look, y'all better come out here with 15 different layers because ain't no indoor track for us to go to. And before we even had Gately, like you said, trying to, get really creative about where you can have practices. And, at least in my team, we run around the hallways. Everybody named mama got shin splints by week 2. So just a lot of different things that, you guys can kind of touch on. But yeah, what are some of the realities of having to be a CPS coach?
So probably the biggest is CPS loves celebrating our successes, but they also love providing us with absolutely nothing to get the successes. That's definitely something I've realized, especially as of recently. They are quick to invite you to a board meeting saying, hey, great job, this, and then provide you with nothing. Like even if you ask for something, they just really don't. And that's just challenge of a big district. And every school is even different. I know like we get bus budgets. I know Phil does not. But outside of that, I don't get any money for anything else. So like for state, I gotta fundraise or I gotta host meets to make money to even pay for my season. Like it's either and like I don't have the luxury of charging high team fees because not all my kids can afford high team fees. So we got to get a little bit creative to be able to afford all the things we need. Equipment wise, like I go to Donors Shoes. That's a great website. I've fundraised probably over $30,000-$40,000 over the past 15 years in equipment. Basically, I just make a project down there, throw what I want. I'll go on Amazon, just search all the track equipment I want, whether it's stopwatches, starting blocks, spikes, batons, all that stuff, cones, and then people donate. And a lot of where that money comes from is not just donors within my network on Facebook, but also Dick's Sporting Goods over the last, I want to say like 8 to 10 years, has been providing match donations to anybody that donates to your thing. So getting creative in how to get equipment, how to get uniforms, because our kids like to be presentable at meets. They like to look sharp. They like to look good in nice uniforms. Like that's also important to them for confidence. Like getting the equipment that you need to not only make your practice space safe, but also conducive. My floors are slippery. Right now, we ain't got janitors that don't mop nothing. Nothing gets mopped, nothing gets clean. Those floors don't get swept. So it's like a layer of like 6 inches of just dust and dirt on my hallway floor. So the minute you try to take a step, you slide in like the ice rink down in Millennium Park for real. So we invested in 15-meter long sections of rollout runway so that we can get some grip and actually push on those surfaces. So we got hurdles that fit in the hallway. You name it. Like we just figure out everything we can do. We even high jump in like a super, super tight space that's not conducive, but we can get 6 steps of high jump in just to get something done. We'll long jump, triple jump into a high jump pit as well in the hallway. So we just figure it out. We do our best, figure it out. This year, outside of Christmas break, Jordan did not do any hurdle training outside of the hallway, aside from that spring break or that Christmas break when we were at Gately. So everything else was done at meets or our hallway. So
it still came out the national champion. Crazy.
And that's the thing. Like our kids, our coaches need to realize like you can make it work for you. Like Phil has same constraints and they've won state championship as a team, had individual state champions. Like this can all be done as long as you just find a way to make it work. And I would say just like my biggest advice, just make sure whatever practice space you use indoors is safe because you got to make sure you control that area because things can happen if you don't.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing that we learned, that you learned early on, that if you're going to have success as a CPS coach, there has to be some level of resiliency and just kind of figuring out a way. And it's not like we're creating something new. I mean, there have been times in the 80s, you had South Shore, the original South Shore High School, who won, I think, 6 trophies. You had Phillips on the boys' side, won the trophy. Dunbar won a trophy on the boys' side in the 80s. So we've always seen CPS teams find a way to succeed without significant resources. And, the late Ed Wallace once told me when I first started coaching, he was just kind of giving me a rundown, like, there's always a way to get it done. If you can't afford hurdles, get some PVC pipes, put them together. Now you have a hurdle. And it's just kind of that mentality that we'll figure it out. Our training situation indoors at Whitney Young is unique. We have a 40-meter usable hallway that we use most of the week. And then once or twice a week, we have a 200-meter square that you're running the square and then dodging kids and dodging ping pong balls because one of our 6,000 clubs is practicing. But we just have to kind of say, hey, this is what we're dealt with, and we're going to figure out a way to be successful. And it just allows you to tap into your coaching brain and kind of figure out what is it that I'm trying to accomplish. And once I think about what I'm trying to accomplish, I can find ways to work through spaces. And the space does not become as limiting as it might be. And it's hard when you first start off. You look and say, man, these other schools have these school districts where all the property taxes fund this one school. So, of course, they have a ton. But once you accept that that's not really your reality, it becomes about just finding good, dedicated athletes who have some athletic talent, and then you can figure out what to do with spaces and kind of how to work without having a whole lot. And I think there have been just decades of talent kind of spread out intermittently in CPS that proves that it can be done.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think the non-CPS or Chicago schools understand that. Me being, going across the state or even at the state meet where you see all these schools with these freshly decorated buses and, at least from a South Shore standpoint, we pulling up in cars and
Right.
with a busted passenger door,
Yeah.
with a busted
And
passenger door, or you taking
And-
CPA public trans to practice. That's different. That's
We're
definitely
talking about taking Metro down to the state meet or
Hey, that would have been fun.
carpool. Like 2021 CPS would not let us transport any athletes to state meet. So like we had to recruit as many parents as we could and beg for them to take them down.
That's right.
So that, it's like we definitely deal with a lot of constraints, and let's toss strikes in there sometimes too. It's like, oh, can't do anything. We got strikes. So it seems a lot of things tend to get in our way. But as a coach, you can figure it out. If you got the determination to do it, and you can definitely find a way. Like our weight room was the most abysmal thing ever. It still is. It's just slightly less abysmal. But ended up getting 15 grand worth of stuff donated just to make it usable for what we need to do and what we need to achieve. So it takes some work, but it can be done.
And to piggyback on that, I think it's important because it's the same ask we make of athletes that you got to figure it out. You have to navigate homework, you have to navigate family life that might be challenging. You have to navigate all kinds of things. We're saying you got to figure out a way. So as a coach, then you have that same responsibility that if they have to figure out a way to make it work in unideal situations, we do too. And I think a lot of times we waste so much time complaining about what we don't have. We miss opportunities to kind of hone in some advantages that we actually do have. And I think that's an important thing for all coaches to realize, especially in CPS.
Yeah, for sure. Before we transition into some training talk and things like that, facilities. Caitlin mentioned Gately. I'm not sure if she was on the scene when Gately was open.
I only ran on Gately once. So I had graduated and then I had came back for like a week in December for whatever. And that was the only time I ran on Gately's track. So I was actually out by the time it came.
Patty, they waited for you to leave, huh? So sad. But can you all tell us, obviously there's been meets, kids from across the state and the region come in. Can you tell us what Gately has provided for your programs real quick within the recent years? Obviously, when you all started, we didn't have it. Cooper mentioned he was in the balcony or the attic or somewhere, a crane competing.
Roller
kind of tell us what has Gately brought to the city and for your programs specifically, and how often do you get to use it?
You can start, Phil.
I think Gately is the ultimate equalizer. Where we had, in the past, you might want to do long jump or high jump or triple jump, and in some schools, in some spaces, your practice is at the meet, which is not really conducive to teaching an event or teaching fundamentals. So just the opportunity to have a 6-lane track, 8 lanes on the straight, that you can run on, giving a bank track opportunities for kids, having full access to field event areas, throws areas, jumps areas. I think that has done more to put us on par with the rest of the state than anything else. So much so that we use Gately all the time. So much of our field event work happens at Gately, and we have luckily kids whose parents are really committed to the process. So they're coming to 7 a.m. practices or Sunday practices at Gately. And I think it's catching hold because I'm at Gately and I see Brooks there, and I see Simeon, or even Lane Tech Peyton goes there sometimes. So I think the rest of the city is just realizing what a gem it is and the opportunities that Gately is giving to us that otherwise only schools or field houses had in the past. So, I mean, it's just really good for us.
Yeah, I would say before I exclusively was doing jumps practice in the hallway, which we know on that surface is just not conducive, and just landing the best we can into a high jump pit. Now I very rarely do that unless I just got kids that can't make it to Gately. Just the access that it has provided us to be able to do the field events that we do, to be able to actually practice in spikes and actually train with some speed has been just immeasurable. And to just give kids like, hey, a sense of you get to practice on something that's not a hallway. So I feel like that has kind of instilled some motivation in the kids as well. They're like, we actually get to practice on a track. So you get a little bit more quality practices there. And then outside of that, I think before Gately, it's a struggle. It was a struggle to find meets. You're sitting there begging Proviso West, begging HF, begging, even a day where we're still going to De La Salle in like 2018, when you're running on 160-meter tracks. Gately has provided us, I say we run there about 6 or 7 times a year now, indoor. So just the access to indoor meets, I think, has not just affected us, but has affected everybody in CPS. We see teams that, hey, who's this fast kid? Just came out of nowhere. And I think it's solely because they have access now, access to a track, access to run, access to better meets, access to be able to run in spikes. Because I remember a day where we couldn't run at HF in spikes or De La Salle. So I think just it being here has helped tremendously just grow track and field and grow interest in track and field in Chicago. And also highlight Chicago as, hey, you guys are a track powerhouse up there, across the state. Because, we hosted the World last year and we had teams coming from all over the state up there. And that was, a good showcase of what Chicago has to offer and can do. So I think it's just been fantastic. Fantastic for the sport. It's made my life easier as a coach, even though I might need to go to practice at 8 p.m. at night or middle of a Sunday, but to be able to just utilize a facility that we can, actually do an event correctly in a safe environment, in a conducive environment, has just been fantastic.
Yeah, we definitely need more and more teams to come. Like Phil said, a lot of teams do show face, but it's still some out there that's still making the 4x2 exchanges on the backstretch.
I'm gonna say this too. It does help one more thing too, because a lot of athletes just don't have confidence. Caleb's also this. They're terrified, and because they just don't know what they're doing. They've never seen this. They've never done this, and they're looking at other kids like, oh, this kid knows what they're doing, so I'll never beat them. And now that we have a real facility that's stocked with all the implements that you need, all the equipment, then you get a chance to do these things. You go into a meeting, it's like, I'm not learning this. How many times have you seen kids triple jumping, their first time triple jumping in life, or even hearing of the event was at the track meet? And now with Gately, you have an opportunity to work on these things. So you have kids that are more confident, they're more willing to drive events that they wouldn't try. Now you don't have a whole team that just runs a 60 and the 4x2 and goes home. Now you have kids that branch out. They want to hurdle, they want to high jump, they want to long, want to throw the shot. So I just think it just puts us in a position where our conference can be even more dominant going forward because of what we're afforded there.
And I think, kind of piggyback off what Phil said, I think the programs they offer too, because there's programs that Gately offers that aren't like that. They're not expensive. I sent one of my throwers just because I was struggling with, coaching every single event and getting work on throws. I sent them to Gately, $75. They recover for the entire indoor season to go learn more technical things about the throws. So having that access to those education classes, kids can go fill in the gaps that they can't necessarily get in during their school practices. And in some cases where, one of the biggest challenges as a CPS coach is it's me. or it's Phil. It's where it's only one or two of us, and that's a lot to manage. We don't have a huge staff, so we can rely on some of these programs to kind of fill in the gaps that we can't always fill in as well.
Yeah, that's true. Gately is definitely, in my opinion, a big stage. If you compare it to the old U Chicago where everybody's meets were, the bleachers are on the top of the curve. You don't really get that crowd effect. You get it for what? I don't know, 10 meters, whatever. But a Gately, it's there. You got people on both sides, people banging against the bank. So it's if you have the right meat and you packed it right, it's definitely an advantage and some high energy in there. With Gately, it's just so you all know, it's more than like a prom send-off spot, a taekwondo venue, and basketball. It is actually training ground. So we'll get into that right now. Obviously, there are many options, many training methods out there, but obviously you all pick what you do for a certain reason. So if you can kind of give us a snapshot on some of your training habits or what you do and how it works best for South Shore and Whitney Young, respectively. And keep in mind that some of your competitors may be listening as well, who may be trying to pick you off in the future. And with that, can you kind of give us or let us know, do you consider yourself an old school or a new school coach? So that's a two-part question.
You want to start, Phil?
Sure.
Indiana first. Stop playing with us.
Yeah.
Take all that Bear stuff off, dude. The Indiana Bears are coming.
They're not the Hammond Bears yet.
It's coming.
I am still mad about that, by the way, even though I ain't lived there in 5 years.
That's right. You went to Peyton.
I'll believe it when it's actually built. So right now, I feel like they're going to go back and forth forever.
Fine, I'll start. Training wise, I'm pretty analytical, so we just want quantifiable metrics. So we do a lot of stuff to try to model. This is what you want to run. These are the kind of fly times you need to run. This is what you need to run. We test a lot. We try to pull in a lot of data in the preseason and kind of figure out where an athlete is, and then kind of look at where you are now. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? To give an example, with Angelina Bullocks, when she was out, we knew that in the fall of her senior year, she wanted to set the state record in the 100. So we kind of sat down and mapped out, well, if you're going to run under 11.4, you need to fly 30 this time. You need to have a standing long jump this time. Lets us know how much power you produce. We need to stand in triple jump of this, and this. And as we test, we kind of see where she's really shining and where she's struggling. And we kind of early on work to meet the things that she's lacking in. So for her, it was like really increasing power production, really increasing her ability to sustain force output for long periods of time. We record a lot, we video a lot. So it's really just, we don't have a focus on running athletes till they're tired of feeling strong. We want to make sure that we are as efficient as possible, that we are as data driven as possible. We're also looking at the art part of coaching too, that we want to have this data, but also, well, how well do you respond to this? Do you need longer rest? Do you need shorter rest? So with that, in the second part of your question, I wouldn't call myself either a new school or old school coach. I think some of the new school, the ideology is just almost, there's an ideology of coaching where you run really fast and really short for short periods of time, and that's all you do. And we run fast a lot, and we do a lot of speed-based training, but we don't abandon some of those old things. We still do tempo endurance. We still do special endurance. There are times where you have to do practices where you're running and accumulating significant lactate and it doesn't feel good. But we just try to do, Coach Calhoun says it best. The question you always ask is, what do they need? And my training philosophy is trying to figure out what an athlete needs to hit the goal they have going for them. And sometimes that's more of a short broken up thing. Sometimes there's more endurance based stuff. It's really athlete driven more than anything else.
I would say I'm very similar with the analytical portion. We test. I use those numbers to try to not only help determine what we need to do to improve in each event, but also identify what events kids could be successful in. Especially coming from a lot of kids at my school, like I said, are very, very developmental. They have never, ever ran track until they have come out that first day of practice. So getting those numbers and being able to really try to help identify what they could be successful at. For example, Jordan Ham, she long jumped, she hurdled, and she sprinted before she came to me. We added track triple jump her sophomore year. Because what I noticed is just at a practice, we did a 5-bound test, and I'm like, she jumped almost 42 feet in this 5-bound test. We need to go ahead and just try our due diligence and explore the option of doing triple jump, even despite her parents' hesitation that the event was going to get her injured, but it worked out. But because I had that number, I was able to have some scientific basis to attempt to do an event with her that I thought she would be successful in. And it did pay off. She was a 2-time triple jump champion, and has jumped in the 40s multiple times. So having those numbers that kind of help back you up are really, really important, not just modeling races, but also identifying athletes and identifying what they can be good at. Outside of that, new school or old school, I'd say I just try to coach whoever's in front of me. There's no just one model that I feel like fits, because every athlete's different. Every kid that comes in year after year is different. How I approached hurdle training with Shanice Stinson was different. How I approached hurdle training with Jordan Marshall was different with how I approached hurdle training with Jordan Ham. All those are different. Like, so I say you really just, how Phil kind of said, what does the athlete need? And just coach the kid that is in front of you versus trying to force a philosophy on like an entire group of kids. You got to really just kind of work with who's in front of you and adjust kind of how you go. I would also say, like, as each kid came in and as each new kid came in, I've had to change. I've had to go learn more things. I've had to go reach out to people. I've had to take more courses just to keep up and also adapt to that new kid that's in front of me. Like, I could literally just say, all right, well, I'm just going to run this kid 100, 200, 4x1, 4x2, and never explore anything else that they could be good in. And I think that is a disservice to athletes. I think you really need to try to explore all those things that they could be potentially good in. In addition, it's like, I keep going back to coaching the athletes in front of you. They're all different. Like, sometimes they have different anxieties. Sometimes they have different fears. Sometimes they have different learning styles. Modeling your training so that it fits those kids is kind of, what I think is really, really important. I know that's kind of vague, but I also just base a lot of what I do on not just analytical, but I write my own workouts. I don't really refer to the internet for workouts. I might refer to help me get ideas, but again, I'll tailor it and model it for what my kids do. I don't take workout from this Olympic athlete and try to apply it to my kids, because it's just not going to work, because that workout worked for that athlete. It doesn't necessarily work for my kids. So, like, my biggest advice to coaches out there is write your workouts for those kids in front of you, use sound science, take coaching education courses from multiple different sources. I don't believe there's one right answer. So I think it's just utilize all those things and then kind of piece them all together to build your own pedagogy and philosophy.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, some of the things you all have done, you've had recent success. Most recent, obviously, 2026, Cooper, you brought your second trophy.
Wallace, you look kind of tall there.
I know, third place.
I am kind of tall.
Hayden. Third place, Cooper, this past spring. And then, of course, you got a state runner-up trophy back in 2024. And you have too many trophies right there on your table as well.
Well, he's got more than me, so I don't have enough. So I got to
work on one. Yeah, but Wallace, there you are with the ultimate prize of our spring spectacular. Ended a 20-year drought of a Chicago public school winning a big class team title. Of course, Morgan Park and Derek Calhoun, who you all mentioned, won in 2002. And Wallace, I do believe you won a third place in 21 and 24, correct?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know where his trophies are, but I definitely remember this when they presented the trophy to you in the dugout, because it was a driving rainstorm. Yeah. So whatever you all doing training wise actually works. And like I said, for any Chicago team, given the lack of resources we have compared to our suburban counterparts, is quite impressive. Top 5 finish is quite impressive too. So
let me add one more thing, because I think Cooper said it well. Talent identification is the biggest thing by far. I say this to Cooper all the time. Coaches get way too much credit for things that go right and way too much blame for things that go wrong. the biggest part of the job is identifying where an athlete should be and what events they should be in and where they're struggling. Outside of that, their talent covers a whole lot of areas. A whole lot of coaching areas have been covered up by really, really talented athletes. So I think it's really important to just put athletes in good positions that can be successful. And that's why I think the old school, new school debate becomes problematic, because if you subscribe to one ideology, you'll run the risk of coaching 1 year, 10 years in a row, because you're just doing the same thing over and over again because you believe this is the way. I luckily have had some good athletes. I'm working with a really talented boy sprinter from another school right now, and he can really get after it, but he cannot handle much volume. Now, if I'm an old school coach, I subscribe to that, then I'm going to run him to the ground, and all he's going to do is get hurt. Consequently, I've coached some really talented women who they can't handle just having 3 or 4 reps. They have to really have high volume in order for them to be successful. So you really have to know who you have and identify what it is they need to be successful. And you can't just subscribe to one philosophy. Otherwise, you're not going to have long-term success.
And trial and error. Trial and error. Like, try some things. If it works, use it. If it doesn't, switch it. Like, sometimes you got to mix things up. Like, don't keep trying to force the same thing on an athlete. If it's not working, it's not working. Pivot. Like, I go to Jordan Ham. She does not handle long rests well. The longer she has a rest, the more her mind starts wandering, and she's no longer interested in workout. Like, I really have to stack things close to get the quality of runs that I want with her. Same thing with events. Like, is that 200 was just so far away from her other events. She gets bored throughout the meet, just doesn't want to do it. But she handled very, very well events that are back to back to back. This year, she got first in the hurdles and turned around and got third in the 100. And that was about 15 minutes apart. Heptathlon, she handled pretty well. So just kind of knowing what you do a workout. If it works, cool. Maybe we can do it again. You might not be able to do that with another athlete. Like, you might have to modify. Just always keep an open mind with who's in front of you.
So speaking of, Jordan and success and things like that, you guys have coached some pretty amazing prodigies with him and with Bullocks. And I just kind of want to know from you guys, like, what is the pressure of having to coach, athletes of that talent? Just because, of like expectations, from parents, from them themselves, maybe there might be expectations that you're putting on yourself as a coach. And then like you said, like CPS is definitely in a prime time to be able to, continue to turn around this talk of like, yeah, Chicago or like Illinois as a whole, like we are up there with some of the best states when it comes to producing track and field athletes. So yeah, like what is it like coaching a prodigy, and how do you guys manage those expectations?
Well, I think it's great. What I've enjoyed about it is having an athlete that not only pushes himself, but also pushes you as a coach. Like, I'll be honest, there's points I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do at this point. So I reach out and find somebody that does. So I had to keep expanding my knowledge to be able to not just elevate myself, but elevate her as an athlete. So I think just, yeah, it's stressful at times. And then there's expectations of parents. But if you build a good relationship with the athlete, they're going to push you as much as you push them. And in some cases more. So I think the past 4 years it's been rough at times, but it's also been a blessing. I've learned a lot. After we won New Balance, I learned even more, because then came more expectation on us both. I don't think either of us handled it very well. But I think just in anything, there's always learning. So you get a top level athlete, hey, just go ahead and take the opportunity, enjoy it, grow from it, as push them to grow as much as you push you to grow, and just learn what you can do to help support that athlete and being great. Because at the end of the day, it's we do such a little amount as a coach, and it's really what the athlete's doing. They're the ones that are really going out doing all the work. We're just guiding them a little bit. We're just on like 10-20% of their journey. But just, hey, enjoy it, enjoy the ride, have fun, even though it's stressful. Manage that stress, have outlets to manage the stress, the anxiety, and also assist the athlete in that aspect as well. And just build a good relationship with the athlete so that you guys can handle that and manage and get through it.
I think coaching high level athletes, the biggest lesson it teaches you is how to be even keeled and kind of just steadfast. Because if it's very hard, obviously. Athletes always want to do great, and the better they do, having a down race is difficult for them. Everyone looks at them, they expect them to be fantastic. Their parents might expect all kinds of things from them. So when you learn how to be this even keel person, say we're just going to control what we control. There's so many uncontrollables and so many variables that you have to learn how to look past that and say, hey, we can control this training. We can control getting you prepared physically. You can control your hydrate. You can control these things. And when you do that, you get better at becoming process oriented versus results oriented. And I think process oriented athletes tend to have longer success because they can handle bad meets. They can handle even bad seasons because they're just like, I'm going to keep doing what I need to. I'm going to keep doing what I can control. And eventually the results pay off because of it.
So I want to kind of get just thoughts from you guys about how you feel that Chicago track and field can grow as a whole. Cause I kind of think about like the situation that I'm in now. And it's really surreal to like think about because when I first, got to coach at Bullis, before I even got there, I was like, okay, well, Bullis is what runs the DMV. And I get here and I'm like, oh shit, like is Carol like we were this close to losing the boys indoor 4x4 this year, but we got Olympic gold medalist on our team, so he gonna make it
Yeah.
shake every time. But it's like that was not a close race. Like Q did have to go chase the anchor from Carol to earn us that title. And then I'm even thinking about a new school that literally just opened up this year, St. James. I don't know where they got all them kids. I don't know how they breaking New Balance records, and they ain't even been around for 12 months.
Doing the same thing Bullets did. What you mean?
But nah, bro, because we built that from scratch, and then everybody else decided to come join us. But yeah, it's like I look at regions like that who are able to kind of cultivate these teams, and at least when I listen to Coach Lee, he's like, it started with one kid saying yes to me literally 10 or 15 years ago, whenever I got here, and we kind of just, ran it until it turned into what it is. But I would love to see that type of dynasty, whether it's Whitney, South Shore, or like a culmination of Chicago schools, for that to happen, in our area. So what do you guys feel like is necessary? I know y'all talked a little bit about access earlier, but we said the response to that was creativity. So what else are you guys thinking about in order to turn into something like a Carroll or a Bullis in the future?
There's too many schools in Chicago. And I think there's too many schools. And you lump in the privates as well, who can draw in athletes some 50 miles away. Man, if you could pull that off in the inner city, that'd be tough. That's my opinion. I know you didn't ask. Oh, and by the way, stop acting like she was just some regular person. That's Quincy Wilson, Olympic gold medalist as high schooler. Some people don't know
the
that.
Quincy Wilson show.
We know that, but some people don't know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking about
Yes.
Quincy Wilson, the 16-year-old gold
Quincy
medalist
Wilson.
from the Paris, the Quincy Wilson, the soon to be Maryland Terp in the next 2 months. Hopefully U20 world champion.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. Caitlin coaches at Bullis, and she likes crab cakes from Maryland. So.
Because they good.
We'll bring us some next time you're back in the city. Stop playing with us. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
All right, Coop, this is on you. I'm from Illinois.
Oh, what does that have to do?
Hey, Kayla's trying to build a Bullis in Chicago. Come on now.
I do want a Bullis in Chicago. Come on, that's where I'm from.
We'd have to co-op. It'd be the nastiest Class 10A co-op ever.
I'm not telling y'all to break no rules and get in trouble, but
co-ops are legal. You can do that.
Do something.
You'll go to Class 10A.
So I mean, I think just trying to spread the younger kids, like obviously we see some of our better athletes come in and they ran track prior to high school. So I think like kind of just spreading awareness within CPS, trying to get more elementary schools, because a lot of elementary schools do not have programs. And then also, like, I sent a lot of young kids who are interested in track to Gately for their youth program and their club program to get them started. So I think leaning into kind of like those neighborhood programs and giving kids just opportunities to run and access to the sport in Chicago would be, significantly better. We definitely need more funding. CPS needs to really try to get more funding into these elementary programs and get kids started. I think a lot of it, like for years, those coaches are making like what, $600, Phil? $400, $500, something insane for, an entire season. So just like the access and the ability to participate in sports has been challenging. And then they get to high school and then we, have this short amount of time and kids really don't know a lot what they're doing. We do the best we can, especially when we have staffs of one or two. So like, and then spreading more coaching education throughout the city would help. We tried to host a clinic and we had 10 people show up, 12 people. And of those people, 2 of them asked, hey, so where do I sign the timesheet to get paid? I'm like, it's a free clinic. Wait, you want a free clinic and get paid? So, I think like it's going to take a lot more work than just, me or Phil trying to build a program at our school. What we like to see is, the programs across all of Chicago get successful. This state meet, it was nice. We brought home a trophy. We had Simeon also win a 4x4 state championship. Congratulations to them. It's like I love seeing Chicago schools do well. And I love seeing, even though I compete against them in the city, like I love seeing them do well. A stronger Chicago just makes a better Chicago. If we have a stronger Chicago, it'll be more competitive. Then I'll have to up my game. Phil will have to up his game. And we just see better state years when we have better city meets too. So I think just not just building our programs, but building out Chicago as a whole would make track better here.
How can we do that? How can Chicago grow? I did hear you mention elementaries, which is code for feeder schools. Belleville has feeders, Edwardsville, Palatine, Mount
HF.
Prospect. Chicago has the most elementary schools out of anywhere in the state, the state, yes, correct. But as Cooper mentioned, probably like 10% or less have an actual track program that trains more than 2 weeks before the first track meet. So,
yeah,
how can we grow?
Yeah, I agree with Cooper. I think the investment in youth sport is the single biggest thing. We're not going to have feeder schools per se the way that the suburban schools have, because our district is too big. But what we can do is, if we have more athletes, number one, competing in youth track, and then getting worthwhile experience in youth track, these kids kind of go on and matriculate to these high schools, and now schools start getting better athletes coming in the door, which is a huge thing. The other thing that I look at is the structure for competition within the city does not work for growing programs. Now, if you look at the city championship, me coming to Whitney Young has done, I think, pay huge dividends to both myself and Crystal, because now there is a real rivalry. We don't want to lose to them. They don't want to lose to us, and we're pushing each other. We're not going to slip because of that. I don't know that every school has the same abilities to compete against schools of 1,900 students. So you look at the CPS just model, and you see it in basketball. When we have these 4 classes now, you have Orr that becomes a standout, and you have Diet that can have a really, really powerful season. And you have this Morgan Park and Simeon rivalry. You have all these different rivalries that just grows the sport. And that's why, for the longest until recently, Chicago basketball was the be-all, end-all of basketball in the state of Illinois. And I think the only way that becomes a thing with track in Illinois, we won't get a Bullets, because we can never just pull students in from anywhere. So I'm sorry, I don't see it happening. But you can have powerhouse teams, but there has to be something for them to build to. And there has to be something that I get this superstar athlete that goes to Hyde Park, or the superstar athlete that goes to Chicago Ag, and now they're competing with other schools, so I can get more kids in this school, and they're really aiming on trying to be good and trying to win whatever it might be, a cluster championship, whatever you want to call it. But I just think has to be a level of competitiveness that kind of matches schools against like schools, and I think that's how the sport really grows. But right now, the model is sustainable for long-term success for teams. You'll see elite athletes do well, but I don't think teams ever get that team. With him, I go to the city championship, we're counting points and we're figuring things out because we want to win. And we do that same thing to go to state. But if you're a team that just of 500, you're not going to compete with us. unless you have 3 stud athletes, you're not going to compete with us. So you're not counting these points. You're not looking at team goals. You're looking at, oh, this one kid do this thing for myself, but these teams aren't growing because of it. And I think there just has to be a way to, on the city level, kind of divide talent up, divide programs up in a way that there is real meaningful competition, team competition. And I think that's what really starts to help grow sports.
And you know, we've had this conversation before. Maybe we should make a small group and things like that. Maybe we should all compete together, but then score it as a small school and a large school. Because the conundrum is, hey, if we take out like schools less than 1,000 and make a separate division, that will also diminish the overall competitive quality of the entire meet, in a sense, because then Jordan Ham isn't competing against Kenwood kids or with young kids, or Jordan Marshall wouldn't have been. So it's a difficult question, because as a school that you know, has had some success at the state meet recently, I still want that good competition. Like I want to compete against these 3A schools at City, even though my chance of winning a team title is non-existent because I still have 500 kids at my school. But I still want that competitive edge before I go into that state meet, versus whooping on schools that are in my range of maybe 800 or less. Like that, I don't know if that benefits me very well. So I don't know if there's one right answer to that. I really don't. I do think there's something needs to be done to grow programs, because right now it's, hey, I'm going to be in a perpetual 4th place at City. Then top 3 is going to be Whitney Young, Lane, and Kenwood. Maybe I'll rotate out because you know, Simeon is they're growing again. They're, you know, looking like they're going to have a good year this year. But you know, it is tough. It is tough. It's tough having 500 and going against 2,000 or 5,000, and you know, in terms of Lane Tech, just because you have more access to more athletes, you know, that can score you points.
Well, I think we have to make sacrifices for greater good if we're going to grow as a collective program. I mean, I saw that. I'll take it back. Take you out there when Shamir Little was at Lindblom.
Oh boy.
And they're always arguing about running up.
Yes.
But it doesn't help the team ever. And what might help one individual will not grow programs. And that's the challenge, because you can't recruit off a kid. You can recruit off program success.
Yeah.
But individual success will never be recruitable. And that's what really makes it hard to just kind of see teams grow. I thought Simeon took major strides this year, just down the way they ran their kids down the far south level to give them an opportunity to get a championship.
Yeah,
and I thought it was a great move.
Yeah, that's
but
real.
I think that's the case. That teams need to have a chance to have team success and understand what team success is if the program as a whole is going to grow.
That's absolutely right. You know, with the IHSA, they have all these rules with success factors and multipliers and things like that.
Don't get me started.
Oh, God. Maybe we do want to get you started. We got some IHSA.
He gonna get you started. He gonna get you started.
But it feels right. I'll use the Brooks. Imani Carruthers boosted that team into the top 10. You know, 3 out of 4 years or something to that nature, and they paid the price for it by moving up to 3A, which essentially killed that program from what it was. So, you know, moving up for 1 year can crush you. That's a factor. And as Mike Reynolds said in a previous episode, and I'm not sure if you all agree or not, some people should not be coaching track and field. I feel track and field is one of those sports where the AD or the principal asks, who wants to coach track? And everybody looks left and look right, and somebody puts their hand up. Yeah. It's a reason why. And again, I've been on the track scene for 17 years, 15 of them in the private schools. So I've been an outsider looking in and, you know, doing media work and just observing and things like that and being around guys like you all. It's a reason why it's the same 4 or 5 teams that's competitive in my past damn near 20 years. Because you guys are putting in the work. Everybody else just shows up, you know, they're not putting in preseason work. They just get it going in January or maybe even April when it's 10 degrees outside, and they call it a day. They get the stipend and they keep it moving. That's a disservice to kids. As one who hosted elementary meets for 15 years, a lot of these kids I saw as early as 3rd grade who could have been prodigies. And I follow these kids, and they get to high school, I always say that the high school you choose could be a death sentence to your track career. I'm not trying to be funny,
Sure.
but
For
I've
sure.
seen way more kids turn out to be nothing in high school or even hate and quit the sport versus those who've actually had success at the middle school or the club level and then progress into high school and carry on. So I think coaching education is a big factor. I seen you all on the scene with USATF and the Coaches Association going to conventions. I've seen you all as clinicians at at clinics and things like that. But it's an eyesore when it's 5 people there, especially when it's free. Like you two alone, and Mike Reynolds, you got Crystal Riley, Steph. It's a lot of coaches I can name, but you all are the minority trying to reach 97% of the people who don't give a damn, and it's all it's doing is hurting the city.
I think
And it shows in the city.
in our last contract negotiation, they finally kind of reevaluated and restructured our coaching pay so we'd be a little bit more competitive on the compared to suburban schools. Because before it's like, hey, am I going to make money this year? Or am I going to lose my coaching stipend? Or am I going to spend like $3,000 out of pocket just to make it through the season? But I think they really missed the mark with it by making it an equal pay scale across the board. Like there's no incentives for success. There's no incentives to get an education. There's no incentive to even stick around and spend years growing in the sport. It's just, hey, you're making this amount. If you come out, Caitlin, let's say you move to Chicago next year, you're going to be a year one coach. You're going to make the same amount of money as me, who's been 20 years in.
Which is not
insane.
that I don't want your check, but nah.
But I just think politically that just does not move the sport, and it does not like push people to grow. It pushed people to like more so just go ahead and just coach and collect a check. Hey, I'm just going to come in, do my 6 meets, get my $9,000 and call it a day. So I think like really CTU and the Board of Education really, really, really missed the mark on that. They had an opportunity to really make this meaningful and put sports in a position to grow in CPS. And I think they just completely whiffed. Like that's a whole strikeout to me. Like you got to give opportunities for people to grow. You got to give opportunities and like just incentives. Like, hey, you go do a coaching education course. Here's an extra grand on your coaching salary for the year. Something like that. You could have gotten creative, but instead there's like, we're going to just throw everybody the same amount. And now that's created even a whole bigger problem of they can't afford it either. And that's why they're saying, hey, South Shore, you guys can't have girls flag football because we can't afford to pay your coach. What? So I think they've created more problems with this than they even tried to solve. I see what they're trying to do, but it didn't really resolve the issue. I think it made it worse.
Can't disagree with that at all. Like I said, it's we got some real hitters coming up on the boys and the girls side. And presently, just look at the state rankings. You can see for yourself in the 7th and 8th grade division. And keep an eye on these kids. Again, like I said, I don't mind saying it. The high school you pick could ruin your track career. If you wanted your athlete to be, on that path towards, being good, being great, whatever, you better pick the right high school. And I'll leave it at that.
I'll piggyback off that. And I'll say this to kids and parents that watch the show. If you are tenacious enough to spend as much time as 10, 11 months in a year to be successful in a sport like track and field, you're going to be successful no matter what education you get. Like if you put in that effort in the sport, you're going to go be successful in college. So looking at like, hey, I got to go to this school because they're the top in education, or they're a good select enrollment school, but they don't really have a good track program, that could make your difference. I've seen kids go, I'm not going to name schools, but go to certain schools, and because it was a great academic school, only didn't have great sports support, and then just disappear, did not hit their potential in sports. So really, just do your due diligence, look at programs, because you can be successful even if a school ain't quote unquote one of the top 10 in the state of Illinois. And no, that's not a jab at you, Phil.
But the doors
you don't know,
are always open.
The thing is, you have to ask the correct people.
Yeah.
You can ask me. I'm the media. I'm the mouse plate guy, so me. I know everybody statewide. But you don't ask these two guys. That's a violation, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, but everybody's not truthful. You know, a lot of people put wool over your eyes, and then 2 or 3 years later, when ish hits the fan and you running the same times as in seventh grade, then you come knocking at somebody experienced door like, help me out. It's too late. LSU doesn't want you anymore. But but just do your research, ask the tough questions from multiple sources. You know, data is out there. It's more readily available now more than ever when we talk about rankings
Yep.
and things like that. You do your own research. Again, I'm not here to tell anybody where to go. It's none of my business. But I can be a resource given I've been around Chicago quite some time on the scene and across the state. Yes, yes, yes. Let's get into some IHSA stuff. Obviously, you all are track coaches in Illinois. I see Kuba with his trophies right there. They still awake. Um, the current setup of our IHSA season or state series. Um, tell us some things that rubs you the wrong way or that irks you about our state series, and you got to say something positive too. Talk to us now. Y'all are champions, state trophy recipients, all that type of stuff. Talk to us now. Don't be shy. They're not watching. Okay,
Oh, I know.
maybe they
You
are.
want to start, Phil? Or do you want me to start?
Go ahead, you start, please.
Indiana
Well,
first. Stop playing with us.
Well, treating every sport exactly the same with the same rules all the way across the board, I think is a disservice to some sports. Just because there's a lot of movement and transfers in basketball and football doesn't mean you need to hit the same rules that kind of mitigate class movement with track and field as well. Like we're positioned to go up to 3A next year because we won 2 trophies. Because apparently, you can't have too much success because then they got to move you up. On top of having a multiplier. I think like it's kind of outdated for our sport because, kind of for one thing, like the athlete that got us these trophies is now gone, but the other athletes that are still there are the ones that are going to pay the price for the move and have to, compete on that higher level. And they kind of like, I don't think they take into account, like at the end of the day, I still have 500 kids in my building. Like I'm still 800 under the cutoff for the IHSA limit. So I think some of their rules, especially pertaining, applying to track and field with success factors and things like that are kind of outdated, and they don't look at it kind of from a sports specific lens. In a lot of cases, especially in 2A, these are not true team earned trophies. These are 1 or 2 individuals that score enough points to get you, those trophies. So you're kind of levying a punishment. I call it the limited success factor because we can only let you have so much before we move you up. It's especially like in the 2A realm, it's not really necessarily always a true team title. You'll see that more kind of on the 3A level, where it does take multiple individuals to be able to bring those trophies home. But in some cases on the lower levels, only a few. So yeah, that's one of the things that's kind of irking my nerves. And at the end of the day, I still don't have a feeder school. I don't have a neighborhood. I don't have elementary schools that feed directly into my school. Kids have to apply, and then kids have to meet a standard to get in. And I know for Phil's case, it's even stricter. It's harder for those kids to get in. So I feel like us public non-boundaries have significant more limitations than a private school. Hey, pay the tuition, you get in at a private school. Us, no, you gotta hit this test score. You gotta apply. You gotta be within that certain class and on that kind of ranking to be able to get in. So it is definitely more difficult. Outside of that, I still think sectionals are like we value sectional titles, but they're not as valued as they kind of should be. And I think it's just how they make up kind of the sectionals. They're not really distributed well, especially some of the Chicago sectionals can be really, really weak. You have a team that win a Chicago sectional and then turn around and score 0 points in the state meet. So kind of looking at, how they're going to do those might be a little bit better. And then also looking at the state format, I was almost excited this year to, hey, let's move 2A to Thursday and then let's put 3A to Friday morning to give not just 3A some more rest, because in some cases they might be competing 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night and then have to turn around on Saturday and come back and fire off again. But I think that format would, kind of give them a little bit more leeway and things like that. And then also maybe looking at a rotation of the classes. Why does 1A always have to be first? And then, the rest of us wait, maybe rotate them around, and kind of look at that. Or maybe even look at lengthening the season a little bit, because a lot of times we don't get any weather that's conducive to running the entire season. So, there's a lot of ideas floating, but I think continuing to always do the same thing without looking at how we can make things better is a disservice to our kids. I think IHSA can do better to look and actually make some changes that will better the sport, not just be stuck in this old model that they've been doing for all these years just because that's the way they do it. Sorry, I touched on a lot there.
Hey, do what you got to do. Come on now. We need to know, because a lot of people don't know. They just stick with the status quo. They don't think outside the box, but instead take themselves inside the damn box. Can't get out. But yeah, the more people that saying these type of things, the more ideas people get. What you got for us, Phil?
I have two main complaints. One, the qualifying procedure, which disproportionately favors Southern Illinois teams. It just does not make sense to not have a standard that you can hit during the season. Because you go through to the sectional meet, especially on the northern part of the state, if you have bad weather, we just have little chances to run and little chances to get through. So what you don't see is the top athletes get to the state meet. And in the day and age of FAT and wind gauges and all of that, it's really easy to have a standard, a pre-sectional standard that an athlete hits to qualify for the state meet. It just feels kind of lazy not to explore options beyond what our current sectional format is. The next thing, this is probably unpopular, I just don't really care. We have too many classes. The state meet is incredibly watered down. I understood what the rationale was presented as for why we had 3 classes, but it never made sense to me in practice whatsoever. I just think a 3-class meet in Illinois is too big, and it does not make the state meet as exciting or compelling as it could be. And we would do better. We would be better served having more qualifiers in a 2-class meet or a 1-class meet than this current 3-class meet format.
I would agree with that.
I can't disagree. No.
A rolling standard, kind of like how USATF does for U20s and things like that. Like, under these conditions, if a kid hits the standard, why shouldn't they be able to go? We look at sectionals. Me and Phil both hosted at places. We can't reverse the track. We weren't getting severe wind aided. And there's been years we've had to run in the wind. I get a -7 headwind because we can't reverse, while others, locations are able to have that capability. And now all of a sudden they're getting 12 qualifiers through, and at our sectional we're getting 2. So I think having that standard would equalize the playing field a little bit, and also encourage kids to get out of the state and compete at some of these out of the state meets. If they have wind gauge, if it's big meet like Texas Relays, Arcadia, Florida Relays, Penn Relays, Oregon Relays, that might encourage more teams to get out if they have a chance to hit some of these standards at some of these more competitive meets.
Yeah, you know what? Every year my answer changed. I'm for the collegiate style, then other years I'm not. And that's usually based off something I see. For example, Phil wants qualifying throughout the year. I'll use this year for example. I've seen relays hit standards early in the year, but then 3/4 of that relay is injured and don't compete for the rest of the season. Now you get, let's say on the girls' side, I forgot a girl time. Anyway, a 46 flat relay team when they were healthy, but now come state series, that's a 49 second team in the fast year for the state meet. That's a bad look. In addition, I've seen too many low sand pits. That's going to happen. And I've seen too many wind gauge under the time intent with the timer. They're too lazy to give a kid $5 to push a damn button. So like I said, if everything is done right, 100%, let's qualify throughout the season. But it's those little small variables like injuries and having a watered down sectional meet, because I'm not sure if you all run your kids in a sectional meet when they all already qualified for state the following week. But stuff like that would be reasons why they wouldn't do it, why some people wouldn't vote for that. But like I said, the weather is a legitimate concern. My whole saying is, in April, when in doubt, head south. I know you all been to Texas, Phil and Cooper. Phil, have you been to California? Have you taken the team to Arcadia?
No.
Okay, you went somewhere. It was in Kentucky. Anyway, you've gone out to state before, but like
Mhm.
it's plus and minuses for both. But I think, God, the voting power lies in the South and non-Chicago. We don't vote up here, so that's probably the biggest factor, to be honest. We don't vote for anything, but if we can get our act together with gauges and level pits and honesty with timers, because some of that's happening too, then hey, I'll be for that collegiate type set field size at the state meet type thing, 100%.
But I guess my problem is that's still the same issue we have at sectionals.
Mm.
We still got kids going to certain schools, and we can name the schools that if you go
Ooh,
here,
let me
you're gonna
name
have
it
a foot
first.
PR. What'd you
Yeah.
say?
Let me name them first.
Yeah.
Let me do it. Let me do it.
Like, it's very clear. So I think that the question with IHSA is always going to be, what is your goal with the state meet? Are you looking to have the best possible state meet, or are you just looking to have a state meet? And
Look
it
at
seems like they search for the latter more than the former. That's what bothers me the most.
Does
You know,
that
There
mean
should at least be conversations in terms of how can we improve the quality of this meet?
and
And
I
you can't.
and
No
I've
one
been
can say we look at the 1A, 2A, 3A meet.
yeah,
We see 3 good state championship meets because we don't ever,
yeah.
when we never do. We
And
never.
I've been in 2A my entire career, and I can say it's like at no point should you really be in a class and you win a trophy with one kid. Like I
no,
just don't feel like that's a good competitive edge.
no,
Like
no.
yes, you can tip your hat off that kid, but that just shouldn't be. And I think going back to 2 classes would eliminate that and push people to have more team centered and team oriented focus on these state championships or classifications. Plus, instead of seeing a fast hurdler in 1A, a fast hurdler in 2A, and a fast hurdler in 3A, now we have the chance of 2 of those fast hurdlers being in one class.
Yep.
So it makes it a little bit more exciting. I definitely think 2A has watered it down. And even this year, I would say this. I'll go out and venture a guess. This is probably one of the worst showings 2A has ever had this year. When you're looking at barely breaking in the 40s to win a trophy in a class that's not supremely competitive across the board, I mean that's just a rough year. So I think redistributing that and would just overall better track and field in the state of Illinois. I think it's time for the 2A experiment to be over, to be honest.
Yes. By the way, we're not taking shots at anybody.
No.
That's just an opinion. If you got one, reach out to me. I'll listen. But the facts are the facts. But I'm curious how they would break down a two-way system. It's still going to be one, and it's going to be a team of 600 going against Morton Cicero, who got 10,000 kids. People are going to complain. But at the end of the day, it ain't the amount of kids you got. It's how you coaching those kids and are they ready? Because it ain't like all 10,000 of those kids are towing the line at one time. So
Exactly.
it doesn't matter, dude. Cut it out. Train the kids and keep it moving. It's that simple. Stop the whining. We don't want to. I don't want to rant. It's not my show. I want y'all to rant. So, I want y'all to rant. Talk to us, Miss Hutchinson.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
wait, sorry. Is that it, guys? About IHSA? Anything else?
I'm sure they could talk for hours about
Yeah,
it.
those
they
are my
should.
main gripes.
They
Those are my
should.
main gripes.
Coach
They
Wallace
should.
don't want the black truck outside his house today. So
But,
Last IHSA thing. How about they actually post people to be able to apply for these dang advisory boards? I have no idea how people get on them.
That's a good point.
I just see people
just
appear
show up
on
to
them,
the
but
office.
it's like I feel like there's not enough strong voices on those advisory committees. There might be one, but then you're
Yeah.
overshadowed by a bunch of people that
Don't know.
really they either don't know or they don't care. They're like, oh, what's working is working.
That's actually a good point.
So
Representation.
I think it needs to be marketed like there needs to be applications for the advisory boards and applications to be involved. Even when I get feedback, like when we used to do the section notes, and now I don't know how you make proposals either. There's just not ways that they're educating people on how you give feedback to the state, other than just I send an email to Craig Garber, maybe it gets read, maybe it does not, or I send back our section notes, maybe it gets read, maybe it does not. There's usually just no acknowledgement. So I feel like everything's with the IHSA is just, hey, we have who we want. That's who gets on these advisory boards, and that's it.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, so before we lighten the mood with some, chiller questions, I do have one more that will require a little bit of thought from the both of y'all. But I just want to know, like, what are next steps in the coaching career? Like, do you guys, want to stay at the high school level? Has there been thoughts about, moving up collegiately, whether it's JUCO, NAIA, NCAA, or maybe even coaching professionally or like post-collegiate athletes. So yeah, what's the future plans for you guys?
So do you want me to go, Phil?
Yes. It's all
Oh,
you.
Indiana always got to go first.
And also say why. Whichever you pick or whatever combination of whatever you pick, make sure you explain why you chose that.
So the allure of coaching college sounds nice. Trying to get the pay to match what I'm making now is the conundrum, just because I don't have experience on the collegiate level at all. So, and it being so late, kind of in my years, I'm in my 40s. It's hard to take such a significant pay cut to try to move up to the next level. Like teaching wise and coaching high school, I make really good wages in the city of Chicago. So as of right now, my plan is to stay here, continue to develop and grow South Shore a little bit more, put my full effort in there and see what more we can kind of achieve there. Outside of that, I'm open to, what opportunities may or may not be out there. If an opportunity arises, that fits like what I'm able to do and grow me in the sport, then I'm probably going to take it. If not, I'm going to continue doing what I can to grow at this level, continue to challenge myself at this level, continue to set goals, and continue to work with the kids that are in front of me and help them grow and develop in the sport. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I don't really have any set plans other than I'm coaching at South Shore next year. I'm going to coach my butt off. We're going to be in a little bit of, rebuilding next year. And we're just going to do kind of what we can to, compete on this 3A level for the first time ever. And hopefully not get our butts whipped too bad, but take it as an opportunity to, hey, we got to work harder. We got to work harder. We got to push ourselves. I got to push myself. And I also got to build the culture to, so these kids will push themselves on this next level, as opposed to looking at it, hey, we're just going to suck this year. Let's circle back in a year, So we're looking at it optimistically of, hey, let's see if we can rise to the challenge and compete on this higher level and see what we can do. But yeah, like I said, outside of that, South Shore all the way next year.
I'll preface my statement with this. I love what I do and I love the school that I'm at. Very, very much so. So I'm super content. That being said, at some point in my career, and I don't know when, I haven't really given that much thought, I do intend to at least consider pursuing coaching on the collegiate level. I did interview a while back for a collegiate job that I ultimately turned down because I thought the timing wasn't right. But I mean, right now I'm just having a really good job at Whitney Young. Love the administration, love the student athletes that I come across, love the kids I work with in the summer. So it's something that is maybe down the pipeline, but I'm not intently looking at it in the moment.
Hey, let me ask you this.
Y'all don't want to coach no pros?
No.
Wait, if Jordan come back, Coach Cooper, if Jordan come back and is like, listen, you got to go get me my Olympic medal, what you gonna say?
He doing
Well,
it.
she better have them funds to pay me to do it too. So, that ain't gonna be like the high school ride was, free and on my dime. But I mean, absolutely, I would do whatever I could to, support her with that journey. Like that would be a fun task, I think. And I think Phil feels the same way with an Angelina. With Angelina, if she came back and said, hey, I'm at this level, hey, take me to the Olympics, I think you would 100% double down and say, hey, let's do it. Let's see what we can do. Because I think the best thing about the sport is having new challenges, new goals, and pushing yourself outside of your own comfort zone. Because coaching an Olympic athlete would be like, oh,
Yeah.
I better not mess this up.
Prodigy.
So I think it would be terrifying and also fun and challenging at the same time, and just seeing like how deep I can go in knowledge and how deep I can grow in the sport too.
That's right. Hey, Phil, let me ask you this before Kayla asks her next question. I asked this to Alonzo and Johnny. Coaching at your alma mater, what kind of pressures or obligations do you feel doing so, being at Whitney Young, knowing you graduated from there?
No real pressure. I think it is more a sense of satisfaction that you can come back and serve a place that you think really served you so well. I think Whitney Young did so much into helping mold me into the young adult that I was. At the time, was really prepared me for life, and it is fulfilling to come back and be able to pour into student athletes the way that I was poured into as a student athlete. I mean, I started running, didn't know what I was doing. I was pretty terrible, and there were so many people that took so much time and patience to really help build me up. So it is super fulfilling to be able to do the same thing for them.
Excellent.
Okay.
I wish my alma mater called me.
I hope Peyton don't ever call me.
Why not? You got
Yeah.
They might.
that nice building.
I'm not fit for the job. Coach Wallace already talked to you about this. I can't do it.
From
I don't
Bullis
know.
to Peyton, that's easy. Come
Hey,
on,
Caitlin,
man.
I got the principal's phone number in my phone. You want me to
Please,
send a text right now?
no. Don't send no text messages. Y'all gonna be sending the trucks to come out here and
The
get me. I
Bullis
can't
to
go back.
Peyton pipeline can be real.
Yes.
I'm with it.
These last, like handful of questions that we got for y'all, you can just kind of like make them, like rapid fire. They're just real cool.
Rapid fire.
They don't require much brain power. I feel like these
Yeah.
questions are kind of fun. But one of the questions that I wanted to ask is like, if you weren't a coach, like what would your other job be? Maybe like announcing, I don't know, a principal, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, if you weren't coaching, what other job would you be doing?
Oh Lord, I watched too many movies when I was younger. I had a strong desire to be an FBI agent at one point.
I definitely would have went back to law school and been practicing law if I didn't coach.
It's never too late to go.
It is.
to the
It
degree.
is.
No.
100%.
Don't worry. When you 65, I'm gonna still be like, Coach Wallace, remember you said you still wanted to go get that degree?
I forgot. No.
Yeah, I can use you to get me off some of these tickets right now. I say go back. But if Steven Spielberg, my boy, I got his number. If he called and say, hey, I want to make a biopic of you two, who would you get to play you all? Who would be Jason Cooper? Who would be Phil Wallace in the movie?
I would definitely be Nicolas Cage.
Ooh, I can see that. Y'all might be brothers for real. That's a good one. That's a good one. Nicolas Cage.
How tall is Sterling K. Brown? Because if he's tall enough to match my height, then I think he would be me.
Okay, I'm gonna sit here and pretend like I know who that is. Oh, who is Sterling K. Brown?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, you're
No, I
missing
watched
out.
Did you
I
see
watched The
Paradise?
Price is Right.
Paradise
You
was
need
fantastic.
to open your phone a little bit more.
Oh, my phone got hacked.
Let's look up tall black man actor, and that's me.
Sterling K. Brown. Why do I not know that? I'll look that up later. That's not important now. What do you play?
Phenomenal actor.
Paradise.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is us.
So,
I'm looking at some.
Let me write that down. Paradise on Netflix. Hopefully it's on.
Hulu.
so let's have a little fun, Phil.
Well, that's why I don't have Hulu.
Who would you cast as me?
Who?
Bald white male.
I'm gonna search Google right now.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm sure I can find one. I don't think it'll take that long.
Wow.
Bruce
You
Willis.
already know who I picked for you. You already know.
We could do Bruce Willis.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Bruce Willis. I like that.
That's a good one. That's a
He
good
ain't got
one.
no hair. Bruce Willis.
That's a good one.
That
Phil,
is good.
for you, 100% Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart all day, every day. And I'm talking Jumanji version Kevin Hart.
Come on.
Funny thing, I've been Kevin Hart for 13 consecutive Halloween, so I guess that tracks.
That'd be great. You played him, he plays you, right?
I can get down with that.
Two more. Then we got a little bit more deeper thought coming. Any college job, which one you taking? If it's available today, which one you taking? And I know you, Cooper, don't have college aspirations as we stand, but what's your dream college job? If they called you, you'd go the next day.
So, I mean, I'm always partial to my alma mater. I would immediately go to Purdue tomorrow. Like,
Man,
immediately.
Stop it.
I'm serious. I love my school. I love my college that much that, even though it's in the middle of Indiana, not my favorite state, it's probably like 49 out of 50 out of my favorite states. I would still go just because I love Purdue wholeheartedly. I bleed black and gold all day, every day. It would definitely be Purdue.
They must have good concession stand or cafeteria or something. Cut it out, Cooper. Hey, that's your pick. I'm gonna leave you alone. Sorry if I offend any Purdue lovers out there or Purdue alums.
In order, Texas, Oregon, Florida State. Those are my three.
No cold weather, huh? At least Cooper kept it cold.
No.
Okay, Oregon can get cold though.
Oregon's as cold as it
be
gets.
raining all day, every day. So that's
Don't matter. They got that facility. The track is gonna warm you up.
Man, they come out, oh yeah, we got a barbershop and a nail shop in here too. Who?
Where should Chicago's next indoor or outdoor facility be built?
Well, first they need to make an outdoor facility that's not jacked up in some way, shape, or form. So that'd be great.
Assuming it's done correctly. 2 lane.
Oh my Lord!
Have they renovated Hanson, or is it still?
Hanson's back.
Oh, Hanson's renovated. It's renovated.
Back. Okay.
It's there.
Y'all don't sound.
Some of it.
Y'all don't sound convinced.
There's definitely some challenges. I don't know why you put a long jump pit 5 feet from a shot put circle, and then two shot put circles that don't have any reliable sectors. Yeah, it's
there.
Yeah.
Hey, if you guys need help building tracks, I'm your guy. I got a long list of track within the last 6 years that I had convo with the coach about it. Look how it's turning out.
the positive of Hanson is I no longer get rug burn on the field.
Mm.
And
why are you rolling on the field anyway?
I'm not literally electrifying any person I get near from walking on that carpet either.
You should be. I'm trying to see why you rolling on Hanson's field. Why are you on the turf anyway?
What are you talking about?
You said you get rug burn. How are you getting rug burn? Why are you sitting and rolling on that stuff anyway?
Well, I'm clumsy. I fall a lot, so
that's not good.
All right, so I would build something on that. Because I feel like everything is all the decent tracks we got to run on are north or west. So being at a south side school, the closest stadium we have is Eckersall, and that has its own interesting challenges. I would say I would probably build something in the State Street corridor, like Bronzeville, Washington Park area. There's tons of land, tons of space. I would put something there, and right off the expressway.
Is this outdoor? This outdoor, correct? An outdoor facility?
So because we have an indoor facility on the south side, I think it would be nice to have another indoor facility maybe on the west side. But outdoor facility, I would definitely put in that State Street corridor.
Yeah, it's a lot of space. You got to beat up the condo people want to build condos there, though. What school are we plowing over to build a facility? No, I'm kidding. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Don't answer that.
What do you think, Humboldt Park for an indoor facility, Phil?
Oh, don't answer it.
No. I would actually go north for an indoor facility.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it can't be banked, right? Because we don't want to put each other out of business. Is it a competition or like a practice facility? How would you make this thing?
It should be a practice. Gailey should be the premium competition facility in Chicago. I can't say Chicago anymore because Bloom has their track coming, but in Chicago it should be Gailey.
Okay.
So I always said they could, the Salvation Army could always turn their armory on the south side in Washington Park into an indoor track. I think it's big enough, ain't it?
Do you feel like, people say this, that
what is that?
Jeff was trying to model himself after King Von.
What is that?
Chicago got 1,000.
That ain't me.
And I'm muted, so it definitely ain't me.
I don't know who King Von is.
I think that was me.
Is that the king of England?
You're watching videos?
That's his inspiration.
It is.
Why would King Von be Coach Wallace's inspiration?
I have no idea. He's a king, the king of England. You could take this if you want. It's a trap question. If you can co-op with any school in Chicago, public or private, what school you picking? And don't pick each other. You can pass it and plead the fifth. I won't be offended.
Co-op with any school?
Yes.
Oh, that's easy.
Oh.
That's easy. I'm taking Kenwood.
Oh, okay. There it is.
5 times a week.
Well, I don't want to pick the same one. That's a
Come
tough
on.
one because I'm
It's
also thinking proximity on the south side. I'd probably look at
it's
maybe
one
Brooks.
it's one close to you, Cooper. That's less than 5 minutes away. You know the answer.
What, Hyde Park? They ain't
No,
got enough kids.
they're 10 minutes away. I said 5 minutes away. It starts with an H too.
Hirsch?
Yes, that big old
There's
big.
3 kids there. What is the benefit of co-oping? I
Well,
go
three
from
three plus your
listen,
30.
no, I go 550 to 553. There's no benefit there.
It's about the
So
hallways, bro. You can have 4 lines of warm-ups. Come on, cut it out.
I'll probably say Brooks.
Yeah, that's a good one. Shout out to
I
my
mean, they got
Hurst.
they got a track right there. They're not too far, and we're both kind of in between Gately, so I think that would work out well.
Right. Obviously, America 250 is year 250 years of America. So we all Americans except Cooper. He's from Indiana.
Correct.
So eliminate Mount Rushmore. That's one of the great national monuments in this country. For your track and field Mount Rushmore, excluding Whitney Young and South Shore athletes, who will be on your Mount Rushmore? And you can do this any way you want because it's your Mount Rushmore. You can even give me 2. So actually, give me 2. Give me a
Are we
Mount.
talking high school?
Let's stick high school, and if you want to do college, fine. But let's stick high school. In Illinois history. So give me one of athletes and give me one of coaches.
Go ahead, Phil. You can have this one first.
You're not from the country. You got to go first.
I'll do athletes first. Then you got to do your athletes and coaches. Athletes, fine. Athletes for Mount Rushmore. That's not that hard. Alexandra Anderson. Shalina Clark. She's gonna be on soon, but she's not there yet. Alex, Shalina. Ooh. Adia McKinnon. I need my 4. Oh, that's tough.
I mean,
The
it's
4th
nice.
is tough.
It's only 4 heads, unless you got some twins up there or something.
No, this 4th one is tough. No, it's not. No, it's not. Emily Henderson from Edwardsville.
Oh, the thrower. Ooh,
Yes.
that might be the
Yes.
first,
Yes.
thrower we've gotten. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my 4.
It's a good one.
No Shamir Little up there?
Man, it's his list. Leave him alone.
Jameer was tough for me, but I
Yeah.
think from high school, I'm going Adia. That's the one I was debating.
Oh, you said no Whitney Young because I mean Mira was pretty dominant.
He said
too.
no Whitney Young.
No, but
Nobody-
I mean,
nobody
Phil
else.
could. I mean, Cooper could put the opposite school. You just can't say anybody from your own school.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And keep in mind, much respect to some of these athletes you all have had, individual state champions, All-Americans, things like that. Shout them out when you can. But
I will.
they just can't be on your Mount Rushmore for this particular rapid fire question.
So I know coaches. Well, I mean, I can't say our South Shore coaches, but I mean, Derek Calhoun and Mock Dawson are definitely enshrined on.
Yes,
that. And I know they're from the same school, but
that counts.
it does.
Yeah.
Gosh, I just haven't brushed up on my CPS history too much, so.
You can name an Indiana coach if you want.
Is it?
Don't
This
get
is
me started
Illinois,
with that.
right? This is
What'd you say?
Illinois, not CPS.
I mean, it's Illinois schools that got kids from Indiana in their building and on their roster, so they'll get a pass.
So are we focusing on CPS or also Illinois coaches?
Illinois, whatever you want to do. Illinois, yeah, Illinois.
Well, I mean, that's like that makes it to me. You got Finney, you got Nino.
Mhm.
I think that's it right there. I think there's your 4. If you're looking at Illinois as a whole, I don't know if Wallace disagrees with me. So that's what I'm sticking with.
So Mount Rushmore coaches. Now I'm giving Derek and Monica 1 spot.
Yes.
We're gonna go Finney and Nino. That's impossible not to do. And you got to go to the boys' side for the 4th one because I don't know how can I be Leroy Millsap. Right. And honorable mention to Gary Halpert from Thornwood. That's my.
Oh man, he has some killer teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he definitely has some killer teams. Mount Rushmore. Kayla, you got a Mount Rushmore? Who you got for us? None of that bullet stuff either. Keep that out
First
of
of all, you
Yeah.
just said Illinois and Chicago, and you talking about no bullet stuff.
You gonna
Bullets
say
ain't even.
You gonna say Quincy Uncle from Illinois. Don't try to play
No,
that.
no, she's gonna say, "Hey, Quincy had a layover at O'Hare one time, so he's up there."
Y'all play. Y'all play. I don't know, because I'm not. Oh, wait, I feel like I'm gonna say this and y'all gonna get mad, but I'm not as old as y'all, so y'all naming people. I don't know.
We old.
Folks are. Yeah, y'all old. Not gonna lie. For me, based off of the people that I know, I'm putting Shamir on there.
New school.
I'm putting. And I'm really putting her because she went to my school and then she killed it at USC. I actually don't know how good she did when she did go to Peyton. I think her name is Christina. It start with a C, something.
Hold on. No.
Cameron Pettigrew.
Cameron
Yes.
Pettigrew.
Cameron
Yes.
Pettigrew.
Cameron. Yes.
Yeah.
Both
Yeah.
of them, Imani
Who is Imani?
Carruthers.
All right, you gotta say that.
Imani
Everybody don't know
Carruthers.
that.
Amira Young, because she used to whoop my tail. Is it four on Mount
It's
Rushmore?
four.
It's four.
Okay, then those would be my four. So
All right, that's good. That's good.
I mean, I think we gotta give shout outs to like Morlakea Keenison, Leah
Mhm.
Brown.
oh
you know,
yeah.
That's a whole
I
nother
mean, there's a
show.
lot. There's so many. I mean,
It
there's
is,
so
it
many
is.
great athletes.
You know, because I look at kids that have done well in college, but also have done well on the Olympic level from
Oh,
Illinois
yeah.
too.
Oh wait, Dawn too. Okay, well
Dawn.
we gonna make
I gotta redo my list.
She already
my
saw
five.
I gotta
We gonna
redo
make
my
my
list.
five. Dawn's on
Right?
there. Sorry,
Too
make
late.
room.
And on top of that, she's back here coaching. So
And she's a
I
future
think that
guest.
even adds onto it. You went and did success representing Illinois, then you came back. So
She's
I
a
think
future.
she definitely has to slip her way back in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a future guest on this show. I'm gonna show her this to y'all, to her, and I forgot her name, but
Yeah.
let's get y'all out of here on this. It's the holiday weekend, and we don't want to hold y'all hostage too much. Maybe somebody's barbecuing and Caitlin steaming some crab.
You barbecuing?
I just
Where
grilled
the food?
today.
Where the food for the rest of us? You can send me something on the plane.
Yeah, all right. You'll get an MRE. So let's get you guys out of here on this. You put your little teams up here. There's your teams. That's Phil with his 49th consecutive city title, and that's Cooper Post Sectionals 2026. That's the South Shore girls. Obviously, you all have had success. I mentioned the trophies from both of you. Phil, a team state championship. Cooper, individual national champion. 7 individual state champions, 7 individual state championships. Phil, you have 6 individual state championships. You have great athletes: Jordan Ham, Rachel Sidney Robinson. It's a bunch of them. Stinson, Marshall, a lot of them. But at some point, this coaching thing is going to come to an end. When you look back on it after you hang up the whistle and put the stopwatch back in the drawer, what would a success have looked like to you all? And we'll end with that.
So I kind of look at, success at not just, what we do on the track, but what, kind of our athletes do beyond, because I feel like there's a lot to learn from, winning championships. There's a lot to learn from earning medals at state. There's a lot to learn from failing to earn medals at state or failing to make a championship. And I think all those things, help our athletes grow. So having them, reach back, let me know how life's going, them being successful in life, maybe some of them coming back to the sport and coaching. That's kind of what I want to see. I want it to not just be, hey, I had a lot of trophies or a lot of medals or some national champions here. I want the impact to be, did I help the sport? Did I, also encourage people to come back to the sport after they're done with, kind of like I did after I competed, I came back and, I've dedicated a lot of time and energy to coaching. So when it's all said and done, I want to look, hey, did I leave an impact in the sport in a positive way, in some way, shape, or form? It may not be, hey, I had 10 Olympians, but, I had 5 of my former athletes come back and, to leave their mark on the sport. So I think that's the biggest thing, and also just, taking the lessons that we learn in the sport and help prepare these kids for adult life, which we know it's all difficult. So, but I also don't plan on hanging up my whistle. They're going to have or hanging up my stopwatch. It's going to be buried with me because I'm dying on that track. That's what I'm doing. So I clock out, I'm clocking out.
Oh, I'm surprised you still got to stop watching this FAT era. Cut it out. That was a trick question. That was pretty
I got
good.
them. Well, I got them, and I lose a lot of them, so I have to buy a lot of them every single year.
But shout out to your top athletes too, by the way. I said some. I don't want them to think that that you all forgot about them. Shout them out.
No, Shanisa Stinson, Jordan Marshall, Caitlin Pryor, Jemiah Jenkins, Jordan Ham, Kylie Gardner, Leah Smith. Even some that were before that, Rebecca Poindexter, Mulan Bazile, even the ones that haven't necessarily went and won state championships, there's still a lot of them that help shape who I am as a coach. So that's just a few of them to name.
Some of them kids owe me money too, but that's not. Right, sorry, Phil. Go ahead.
Same question. I think that what I would like my legacy to be is just that I had an impact that was more than just helping athletes get faster or jump higher, jump further, but also just helping them to be more productive people that understand the value of giving back to others, important to others. And if I'm able to do that in any meaningful way, then I think that my career will be a success. And I have too many good athletes to name. Angelina Bullock, Sydney and Rachel Robinson, Madison Saunders, Layla Bonilla, Simone Bernard, Ella Sweat, Mia Seton. I mean, I can go on forever. Claudia, we just had a lot of really talented athletes. Kayla Reapy, just a lot. Phoenix Higginbottom, a lot of good athletes. So I'm remiss if I keep on going because there's too many to name. I just think that they've been great and they've really helped shape us as the coaches we are.
Yeah, that's right. A bunch of killer athletes. Like I said, you two have actually seen you guys for the first 2 times doing hammers. I didn't know what your relationship was prior as far as coaching colleagues, but apparently y'all connected earlier than that. But hey, continue to do great things in the city with the hammers, with our respective clubs, and growing the sport in the 3rd biggest city in the country. Chicago's the best in the Midwest. Illinois is the #1 cold weather state in the country, whatever that means. But it sounded good, right? Hey, but thank y'all for coming on. Hopefully you all watch and learned a little bit about these 2 gentlemen, plus their schools, their challenges, and their successes. Don't be afraid to walk up to them. If you see them at a track meet, IHSA or a club, it's a wealth of knowledge. Take advantage because not only helping yourself, it's probably gonna trickle down to your kids as well, especially in Chicago. Thank you, Caitlin, from using your Starlink to connect with us from Maryland. Assuming that's where you are. We wishing you good things at Bullis, and come back and see us. Stop playing with us.
I'm coming back, I swear. I said that, I actually told Coach Cooper this. I said, after I do what I need to do, don't be surprised, I'm 30 and I decided to come back for a couple years. So
Back to Peyton.
Well, it's good. I already texted the principal.
Stop. Okay, we'll tell them wait 5 years. Tell them give me 5 years.
So you might be back in August.
Right.
I believe they're constantly looking for a coach, and guess what? The way CPS
they look like they doing just fine without me. The boys having a blast. They don't need me.
The way CPS goes is you show up day 1, you're head coach day 1. So just be ready.
And you driving the bus. But thank y'all. This is episode 16. Jason Cooper, Phil Wallace. This is Between the Lanes.